it was revelatory. I don't think the average American has a real sense of what we're doing over there. And I emphasize what we're doing because it's not possible without American support. I have heard people say over and over again that there are great evils happening in the world. States across the world perpetrating evils against whole groups of people. Why pick on Israel? And the thing I say is, I'm an American. This is the thing that we have our fingerprints on. Those bombs over Gaza, the planes that drop bombs on Gaza, the plaques that I saw, for instance, in Jerusalem, all of that is America. And we are going around the world propping ourselves up as the font of democracy. We are going around the world propping Israel up as the only democracy in Middle East. This is a deep, deep fiction, a very, very dangerous fiction that must be addressed. These are the words I have even now, and they are probably insufficient to what a Palestinian would offer who experiences this. But the words that come to me are segregation. When you are on the West Bank, there are separate roads. There are roads for Israeli settlers and citizens of Israel, and there are roads for Palestinians. These roads are not separate and equal. These roads tend to be separate and unequal. It tends to take longer to get where you want to go if you're a Palestinian. If you enter a city like Hebron, for instance, Hebron is quite literally segregated. There are streets that Palestinians cannot walk down. There are streets that, Israeli settlers are giving complete and free movement of. Moving throughout the West Bank in general, there are checkpoints everywhere for Palestinians. These checkpoints are sometimes normal checkpoints that they know are there. Sometimes checkpoints appear out of the blue, what they call flying checkpoints. Your basic movement is constantly imperiled. The justice system, which is deeply familiar for African Americans here, is quite literally segregated. There is a civil justice system that the minority of Israeli settlers as Israeli citizens enjoy. And then there is an entirely separate justice system that Palestinians on the West Bank are subject to. You can be arrested, for instance, as an Israeli citizen, and you are do all the due rights that we are familiar with. You have to be told what the charges are, etc. If you are arrested as a Palestinian, you can just be taken. In another political context, we would call those hostages, because nobody has to say why you're taken. Nobody has to say what you were taken for. Nobody has to inform your family. You are under the jurisdiction of the military. It has been this way since 1967. And the word we use for that is occupation, which is a kind of deeply vanilla word that does not actually describe what is going on. How a country that maintains this separate and unequal system, how a country that does not even allow the quote unquote Palestinian citizens of the state full equality with its Jewish Israeli citizens is allowed to refer to itself as a democracy is a mystery to me, and the closest analog I can think of is the time in which the United States of America referred to itself as a democracy, even as it was disenfranchising whole swaths of black people in the southern states. And so when I say Jim Crow, when I say segregation, that is because that is the period that immediately comes to mind for me.